Welcome to Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. I'm Rob Wilson.
And I am Tony the Quano.
So Tony, today we're going to be talking about a movie that, we actually just changed to this movie last week.
We did. That's right.
So, because we originally had a different one planned for today, but then we learned of the passing of the great James Earl Jones and wanted to do sort of a tribute episode to him.
I think that's appropriate.
So, even though he was only in maybe 5 minutes of this movie, it's a very memorable performance.
Very memorable. And I mean, his voice is so memorable, but then there's like his presence, and he's kind of this shadow character for most of the movie.
Yeah.
So,
but
a lot of the adults in this movie are only in it for about like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll get into the other ones, but
so what movie are we doing?
We're doing the 1993 classic, The Sandlot.
The Sandlot. In my opinion, the best baseball movie ever made.
Right. And the thing about The Sandlot is, like, you don't necessarily have to be a baseball fan.
No, you don't.
You didn't have to play baseball growing up to love this movie, because it's more than just about baseball.
Yeah, it's about so much more than just baseball.
It's about the fleeting nature of childhood, for one.
Yeah.
Summers. There's so much about this movie.
It's about friendship. It's a coming of age story.
Coming of age. Yeah. Yeah. The more I
it's
watch
about
it,
sexual assault in
I
a
realize,
pool.
Yes. A 12-year-old on a anyway.
We'll get to that.
On a that he's been planning for years. And they get married.
Yeah. Have a bunch of kids. But we'll get to all that.
Yeah. But it's funny. Like, it's a movie that persists not just because of nostalgia. Even the movie itself, the thing is, the movie's not really about nostalgia itself. Like, there's some movies that kind of lean heavily into nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I don't really think this does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't lean heavily into the nostalgia, but it is a very nostalgic movie.
Yes. The main character is a bit nostalgic. And, obviously now, we're kind of nostalgic looking back on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a movie we loved as kids, because it was about kids. But it's not just a kids movie.
No, it's not.
Even though, like, if you look at the poster, you would think, oh yeah, that's a kids movie, right? Because like, either you have the one that have all the kids on the Sandlot, or the one where they're trying to determine who's going to bat first by going up the bat, and then you got the big dog paw.
Yeah,
right. And there's definitely kid stuff in it, but it's funny. Like, there's a lot of things in here where it's like that cusp of going into adolescence, like sexual assault.
Faking needing CPR just so you can kiss the hot lifeguard.
Yes. Yeah. We'll get to that. I have a lot of questions about this scene. I continue to have a lot of questions about this scene. There's a lot of questions around all that in the first place.
Yeah.
That I want to talk about. Man, it's really interesting to see this movie that kind of persist, and I think critics at the time just kind of dismissed it as a good kid family movie, and I think we've taken it and gone beyond that. And when you look back at it now, you realize it is doing something nice.
Yeah, it is, and
it has something to say. There's other kids movies at the time that are sports related that were decent, right? But maybe not. They have their own memorable moments, but they don't linger with you. Right, like say Little Giants, for one.
Little Giants or The Big Green.
The Big Green's another one I was going to mention, which has an actor in common with this
Patrick
movie.
Renna.
He was the last of the kids cast for The Sandlot.
Oh, really?
Apparently. Yes.
Interesting. He's one of the most memorable.
So, right. I mean, he's got one of the most, probably the line that's probably most associated with this movie.
Oh yeah, you're killing me, Smalls.
And then it's funny. I've used this line multiple times, and like I've known other people that have used it. And I've known, like, I have a friend, his wife uses it, and she has never seen The Sandlot. She has no idea what that line actually refers to.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, probably most people have used this line at some point in their lives, and several of them, I'm sure, don't know where it comes from. They've just heard somebody say it, and they liked it.
Then maybe they saw a T-shirt with it on, and some point, like, oh yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they continue with it. There is another kids movie of this time frame that has kind of reemerged a bit. That's popular. That I did not like a whole lot when it came out when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I've rewatched it, and I hate it even more. and I'm sorry if this offends people, but one of those movies is Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. That is a very wildly popular movie. But
and that's another one that I think of. That's one where people get hooked into nostalgia of watching that as a kid.
Yeah. But that's
and now they rewatch it because it's one of the few Halloween themed movies.
Yeah.
That's obviously there's other Halloween type movies, but like Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Christmas movies that you could watch as a family. There's not a lot of Halloween movies you could watch as a family.
You want to know something?
Yes.
I have never actually seen Hocus Pocus.
You don't need to.
I've seen maybe 5 minutes of it, but that's about it.
You will not need to do an episode on Hocus Pocus. Yeah. So I am sorry for all the Hocus Pocus fans out there.
Never really had the desire to watch Hocus Pocus. So yeah, I'm sorry to all the Hocus Pocus fans out there, but yeah, we're not really huge fans of it here. But you can be if you want to. That's awesome if you are.
There is a Halloween movie that is more family oriented. It's a bit nostalgic for me. That's Ernest Scared Stupid.
So Ernest Scared Stupid, when I first saw that one, it scared the crap out of me.
It scared the crap out of me, that monster.
Yes, that troll was terrifying.
And I was like, oh, no, like I'm going to get turned into some wooden doll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I watched it like about 5-6 years ago. Like, how was I scared by that troll? It's obviously just some dude in a shitty costume.
I know, right? But I mean, that's what happens. The kids.
But this is perfect though.
When a kid watches a movie, they see it way differently than when an adult watches the same movie.
This is perfect. Like, I would have been watching this when I was 10, 11, 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This segs back into the Sandlot though, because like it feeds into certain fears that it's funny. Like, at some point you kind of think that, you put past some of those monster type fears when you're more like 5, 6, 7 years old. Once you get, maybe once you get to like second grade, right? Third grade, maybe. But no, they persist. And like this movie like actually really connects into that.
Yes,
really
it does.
Well.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, the beast.
I mean, the whole idea of
is
the
really
beast.
just a big dog, but they see it as this gigantic.
Right. So, and that's the thing. Like these are all kids that are like 12 years old, right? That you would think are past that. That on like some have probably already started puberty, right? Mm-hmm. And yet they still have these really innate, exaggerated child fears that aren't necessary. And we'll get into that, obviously. So, yeah, I think it's a really good segue into that. And because there's a lot of things you can tap into this. There's self-confidence. There's don't sexually assault the lifeguard.
Yep. There's just being the new kid in town.
Being a new kid in town.
Trying to make friends when you don't know anybody.
It's about accepting that new kid in town.
It's about trying to outrun a giant dog.
There's so much into this. I'm really glad we're doing this because I've always liked this movie. And every time I watch it, I really enjoy it. And I smile. Mm-hmm. And then it's funny because I now watch it with my kids and it's funny, Theodore, he's like 3 and Charles is now 10 and they look at it very differently than from each other. And then I was Charles's age when this thing came out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it came out.
So like I see him kind of looking at it probably the way I kind of looked at it. And I think I saw this like actually it's probably at a dollar theater. I don't think I saw it on its initial theatrical run.
On its initial theatrical run.
So it would have been like, 4 or 5 months after it came out as I saw it. So
yeah, I saw it in April of '93 when it came out. And I was 8 years old. I was a few months away from 9.
Yeah, I guess that technically I was not 10. I would have been 9 because I would have seen it during the summer of '93.
Yeah, and I loved it. First time I saw
it right away.
I loved it. I was hooked right away, and it's one of those movies that it is just it's even if it's not intended to be super nostalgic, it is incredibly nostalgic to me.
Yes.
When I watch it, I am transported back to 8 years old, sitting in that movie theater watching this movie. Partially because this movie was essentially my childhood.
Okay.
We didn't.
I did not realize that about you.
So we didn't have a Sandlot per se in the area when I was growing up, but during the summer. So I played Little League when I was in like first or second grade, right?
Okay.
So right around the time that this came out, I mean, maybe a little bit before this came out, because this movie came out when I was in second grade. So I think it was the summer between first and second.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was the summer between first and second that I played baseball. I was in Little League. But around the time this came out, during the summer, if my friends and I weren't riding our bikes all over town, who knows where, just like every kid did in the 80s and 90s. You know?
Yep.
Then we were in if we weren't doing that, then we were in some kid's backyard every day. A different backyard every day playing baseball. Kids that I had never met before. Kids I had no idea who they were, but we would all get together and we would play baseball.
But I think that's the thing about it, right? Like baseball is that sport, especially at that age. Like it's an easy thing to pick up. Maybe it's not so much for today's kids. I don't know. Pick up a bat, the ball, and you just kind of play with friends.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a bunch of people that do it that way that may never actually play Little League, right? I guess football's kind of the same thing. You just go ahead and you throw the football, even though you never play organized like Pee-wee football league or whatever it is. But like this is just so easy to do because and part of it's because baseball, even if you don't have 9 people in the outfield, as long as you have a pitcher, you don't necessarily need the catcher. You could have a catcher, but a couple of guys in the infield, outfield, and then you just rotate people around. Whatever you do, like they do here.
Yeah,
they had 9. They end up being at 9, right? It's just they kind of rotate you bats.
Yeah,
and they have fun, and then they get into trouble.
Yes,
Miriam knows all about trouble.
Yes, Miriam knows all about trouble. Speaking of which, I had completely forgotten that Karen Allen was in this movie.
Again, the adults are in this movie for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones has 1 scene in this movie.
Yes.
She has about 3. Dennis Leary has about 3.
Yeah.
You know what? She probably has a little bit more. She has a couple scenes alone with Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3 Dennis Leary scenes.
Yeah.
So she has 5. But still, it's like a total
her scenes
of 5
are short.
minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Her scenes are only a minute or 2.
You know what? She probably has more than 5 minutes. She probably has about 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but great choice for it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Scotty could very well be Indy's son.
He could be. He could be. I would imagine Indy's son would probably be a little bit more coordinated, but
he is kind of a nerd, though.
Yeah. So did Scotty grow up to be Shia LaBeouf?
No. But that's one of the cool things about this too. We haven't even kind of started into the plot, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we could do that in a minute or two. The kids themselves, I was just even thinking about it right now, they don't really meet kind of a lot of times the stereotype that you have of kids in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe the catcher.
Yeah, Ham.
Ham. But even that, it's only so much. But
yeah,
I mean, they're pretty diverse. It's the early '60s. I guess it's supposed to be California. So you got a Hispanic kid, you got an African American kid, and a bunch of white kids.
Yeah,
but they accept each other.
Yeah,
right?
They do.
So,
and I remember when I was little watching this movie. I remember Benny was so cool.
He was so cool. This is the movie that kind of, it's funny, this is the movie and Benny, or the movie that helped probably put the whole idea of PF flyers on the minds of young millennials.
Oh yeah.
I guess at this point the older millennials, but would have been the ones that would have first seen this. But
yeah,
I think we kind of
the shoe guaranteed to make a kid run faster and jump higher,
and it kind of did. Or maybe it was just Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
That could be. That could be. Because I always took that literally, that those shoes would actually make...
Oh, at that time, absolutely.
Yeah, would actually make someone faster and jump higher.
Yes.
But I was also an 8-year-old kid. So...
By the way, we'll get into this too, but there is actually Benny himself, as the actor, was also another kids movie, sports movie of the 90s. Mighty Ducks 2 and Mighty Ducks 3.
Yes, yes, he was.
Funny thing about him too is that it's funny. He's actually he's not even an actor anymore. He's an interesting career to get into. He's a firefighter in Los Angeles.
That's awesome.
He's in the LAFD.
That is awesome.
And he's probably doing quite well. He gets he's paid for the fire, and then he gets royalties whenever they air the Sandlot. People buy the Sandlot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and people walk by the street and they probably say the Jet. You're a legend.
Yeah, I got saved by Benny the Jet.
Benny and the Jets. Wow. Never connected that before.
You never connected that? Really?
No.
I think every time I hear that song, I think of this movie.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's the thing I remember on this. Apparently, he did get arrested back Halloween of 2015.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he and two other firefighters were handing out candy, and this guy wrongly accused them, I should say, of handing out drug-laced candy.
Okay.
And so they chased after him, and then they put him in a chokehold. But he's Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Yeah,
he's
can catch
him, dude.
He's gonna catch him. Yeah,
he could be an Ethiopian long distance runner, and he would catch him.
Yeah, he would have had no problem catching the alien in Signs.
Oh no, yeah, the alien in Signs. It's funny. Like he's athletic because he was able to get around.
Yeah,
went from M. Night's house to Mel Gibson's house.
He's no match for Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Benny the Jet Rodriguez. Yep. So anyway, I always like how the movie starts though, right? You know, it's the nice. Mm-hmm. It's funny. We talked about this. It's nostalgic, but not super nostalgic in and of itself.
Yeah. First of all, real quick, spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about the entire movie, beginning, middle, and end. So if you've not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, pause the podcast now, watch the movie, and then come back and listen. If you have seen the movie or you don't mind spoilers, then you go ahead and keep on listening. All right, continue, Tony.
Right. I would kind of recommend, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely
an hour and a half long. It's worth watching. Like, it's not like this that big of a spoilers of this movie. You know, it's not.
Even if you didn't grow up with it, even if you didn't see it when you were a kid, watch it. It's a movie that's fun to just that an adult can enjoy without having seen it before, without having kids to watch it with.
One of the things I like about it, right? So it gets into it, right? I think the movie, it starts nicely. You kind of have, it is kind of slightly sentimental music.
Yeah.
And then, we see the inside of a baseball stadium. Mm-hmm. And you just see this guy walking, and then you see it talks about the press boxes. And he goes up and he starts talking to them, the voiceover. And it's funny. So we'll see who it is later, but he talks about like the greatest moments in the history of sports, and he talks about the 1932 World Series, and it's just it probably is like the most famous moment in sports for the most part. Then Babe Ruth calls his shot. He points out there, and then he hits a home run where he's pointing, right? Mm-hmm. And he talks about legends, right? Again, legends. So like, here's another theme of the movie, right? It's being more than just a hero. It's like being, your remembrance, being a legend.
Heroes,
what you do.
Yeah. His wording is heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Like, it's what you do. I guess that's a good point. Like, it's like, what do you do with your talent, right? Mm-hmm. It's a good thing to think about, right? And then he talks about, like, he brings it to a much smaller scale. It talks about, like, 30 years later, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about. I like how they set it up, right? So this movie came out in 93. It was filmed in 92, right? So you're dealing with a 60-year range, right? 32, 62, 92, right? Now, like, this movie's 30 years old, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like Benny's accomplishments were 60 years ago. Like, when this movie came out, Babe Ruth's accomplishments 60 years before that, which when I was 10, that seemed like ancient history.
Yeah.
60 years, you're like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't seem that long ago.
No, it really doesn't. Yeah, Babe Ruth was 90 years ago now.
And that doesn't seem like, it seems like a long time ago, but not ancient history.
Yeah.
Right? And he talks about how a certain kid became a neighborhood legend, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, right? And it's funny, I was like, they
got into the biggest pickle known to man.
Right. And he talks about how it's like he helped him get out of the biggest pickle. And it's funny, it's like what Benny gets, like, it's what he becomes a legend for is directly related to how he got him out of the pickle.
Yeah.
But it's not what he does there. It's really more of the entire circumstance.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that. I mean, like, it's, as we discover, just the forging of the friendship is kind of what makes him legendary for Scotty.
Yeah.
Right. So we find out the narrator's name is Scott. And goes by Scotty. It's the 60s.
Yeah. Scott Smalls.
Like, almost no one ever, like, there's still some names now that would get like the Y or the IE, right? But Scott would definitely not be one of those today.
No. Yeah, so
in
after
the 60s, everybody had the Y, the IE. That's
yeah. So yeah, after talking about Babe Ruth in 1932, then it jumps ahead to 1962, where he's talking about the legend that is Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
To, this new neighborhood, or calls it the Valley. So what's interesting, like,
do they ever say where exactly it is?
Well, that's the funny thing. You get the sense it's supposed to be California.
Yeah, but at the same time, it could just be anywhere in America, really.
It could be anywhere. It's funny. It was filmed in Utah.
Okay.
And you get some of the wider shots of like the neighborhood, and you see mountains.
Yeah.
Right. And they filmed it during the summer, right? Which makes sense.
Yeah.
With what happens within the movie. And like, yeah, I mean, like if you're living like down outside the mountains, like around the mountains, like, yeah, you're going to still be very hot in the summer in Utah. So, but yeah, they never specifically say where, because none of them really talk about like what their favorite sports team is. Like,
no,
they look up the Babe Ruth as this legendary figure,
and they've all got different hats too, like different teams on their hats.
Yeah,
like Benny gives Scotty, what was it, a Mets hat that he gives him? Or is it a Yankees hat?
Is it anyone? I don't know if it's anyone in specific. I think it's like maybe like a minor league team.
Okay, that
like
could be
a blue hat with like
yeah, that could be just a minor league team. But then you got Kenny, who's wearing a KC Monarchs hat.
That's right. And Benny has the Dodgers hat.
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody else, it's like kind of generic, or they don't wear a hat at all.
Yeah.
There might be a Yankees hat in there somewhere. Let's see. That's why I'm looking that up. So he's just talking about, like, you have this whole scene where like they still kind of had like the early 60s, late 50s kind of like pop type music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they have like kids on the playground, and it's on the baseball field. I don't think it's actually like the Sandlot. When like watched it again recently, I think it's like kind of one of those situations where you have like a kind of like a grade school, middle school baseball field. Mm-hmm. It's actually like two of them, but up against each other in the outfield, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now it's going to a video. So anyway,
yeah. So it starts out. You get
there's various hats. So they're playing this game like after school, I guess, right? And like Benny gets in this pickle, right? And then like it's a rundown, I guess I should say. And he's able to get out of it. He crosses home, right? And Scotty's talking about it. And what's interesting at this point, we haven't seen, I guess later that afternoon, like we see Benny walking home, and we see Scotty unpacking like the moving truck.
Yeah, because Scotty's family's just moved in. There's him and his mom and his new stepdad.
And he says it's 2 weeks before school let out is when they moved in, right? Mm-hmm. Which would like even just say like, okay, he finished school. I know district, maybe they were out, or he finished all what he needed to do, and they moved, right?
Yeah.
He says that his dad died when he was young.
Yeah, that's right. His
dad died when he was like a baby or a toddler, right?
And his mom just recently remarried.
And as you said earlier, Karen Allen plays his mom, and Dennis Leary plays his dad.
Yeah, Dennis Leary is a stepdad,
right? And it gets the whole thing, like did I call you like Bill? Bill is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he says Bill, or I mean Dad. So I mean it's one of those things.
Yeah, sometimes he's like Bill, I mean Dad. And sometimes he's like Dad, I mean Bill. He doesn't know what to call it.
And he does say during this voiceover, like this was the summer that Maury Wills broke the stolen base record, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a funny thing. It's funny, like Babe Ruth reigns over this, and like his home run record's the big deal, right? And people know, Ricky Henderson's obviously the stolen base king, but that reigns differently than like the home run record. So Maury Wills does appear in this movie later as the third base coach for the Dodgers. So anyway, we see Scotty and kind of give a wave to Benny, and Benny just kind of gives a nice little head nod, right? He's got his bat, and he's walking home. And like now we've actually seen Scotty portrayed by 3 actors.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have Airless Howard plays the actual older Scotty, right?
Yeah, but we're not supposed to know that we're not supposed to know that that's the older Scotty yet.
Oh, that's right. We don't know that yet. That's right. Thank you. But right now, the narrator so far is David Mickey Evans, who
that's one we don't actually see, but we hear the voice.
What's interesting is that David Mickey Evans, he's the one that wrote and directed the movie. So funny thing about him too is like I was looking at this earlier. So this is a movie I remember because the movie was named after a wagon radio flyer.
Yeah, that movie. I saw that when I was a kid in the theater, and I would be just fine never seeing that one again.
Anyway, so he wrote that. He did not direct it. Richard Donner directed it.
Okay.
And so he wrote it. They liked it. I guess the studios liked the screenplay, but they thought he wasn't experienced enough to direct the movie, so they chose Richard Donner. Funny thing about his one of the next movies he made that he directed was First Kid with Sinbad.
Really? He directed First Kid, huh?
A movie that was filmed in Northern Virginia.
Yes, it was.
Tyson's Galleria Mall. Tyson's 2.
Yep.
Right? And I remember people going to see it be filmed. But Sinbad, yes. Anyway, and then his career cratered after First Kid. He ended up doing Beethoven's Third, Beethoven's Fourth.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Jingle All the Way.
Wait, so did you say that, right? So his mom and Bill have been married for about a year, he said, before they moved.
Yeah.
All he says is that they moved to the valley. So now, we get into the music stops. Now we kind of get into the narrative of the actual storyline, right?
So Scotty's sitting in his room and his mom comes in. And
he's got his director set. And,
because he's a smart kid. He's one of those boy genius types. And
we saw him asking, Bill, Dad, can you please teach me to play catch someday? Right? He's like, yeah, sure. And then he sees him put this baseball, they're unpacking the house, right?
Yeah.
So he's his dad's dad's right? And he places the baseball on a little stand, and he's kind of sneaking around trying to look at it, and then Dennis Leary looks at him and he goes away, and it's nothing. Gas. He's like, Dad, what's that baseball about?
Yeah.
Or Bill, what's that baseball about?
Yeah, but then he's like, remember, Bill? Dad, you told me that you teach me to play catch. He's like, yeah, I will. And then they just kind of leave it at that.
Yep. And then it's that night. You said he's in there. He's playing with all his erector sets and all that stuff. And then Karen Allen comes in, and it's like, have you met any friends yet? It's like, he's like, no. They haven't lived there that long. It's the end of summer. That's kind of an unreasonable request.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, she's like, well, you can't just sit in your room all day. You got to.
She's right about. Yeah. I get that. But it's just the introvert in me. I just imagine moving in someplace as everyone's getting out of school.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, she's like, you can't stay in your room all day. You got to go out. Meet people. Get into trouble.
The big point here, she says, last summer and the summer before that. So it's not just that he's a new kid.
Yeah, it's that this is what he does every summer, wherever he is. Yeah, but she's like,
get into trouble.
Yeah, she's like, get outside, meet some friends, get into trouble. Not a lot of trouble, but a little bit of trouble. How many parents do you think give their kids permission to get in trouble?
He gets into trouble.
Yes, he does.
And there's stuff she doesn't know about.
Yeah.
Like the pool honeys.
The pool honeys. Scouting pool honeys.
She should check those socks. Just saying.
Scouting.
Maybe he does his own laundry. I don't know. So finally, he gets the next day and he decides to follow them to the Sandlot. And he's got this hat with a bass on it.
Yep, it's like a fisherman's cap. It's a giant bill on that hat.
That thing could catch television. So, and the only he has a glove, but it's a plastic glove his grandmother gave.
Yes, a plastic glove his grandma gave him.
I love how he shows up too. He's in blue jeans.
No, he's in shorts. He's in shorts and a button-down shirt.
A button-down shirt. He even has the top button that's tucked in.
Yep. And he just kind of stands back back by the bushes.
Yeah.
Just watches them play.
It's truly like a Sandlot. It's it's abandoned baseball field. They have a little backstop behind home plate, and there's no. It's mostly dirt and over. Yeah. There's some parts are overgrown. There's some bushes. There's trees here or there, and you can see this beat up old fence.
Yeah, and on the other side of the fence is a yard.
Yes,
you don't know what's behind that fence but
it's actually 2 yards. And if you watch it enough, you can distinguish the 3 different spots in this area. Anyway,
because there's the yard that's got the treehouse in it too.
Yes. Which was when I first saw this movie, I thought the treehouse was actually in the Sandlot, but it's not in the Sandlot.
No, it's not. It's in one of the yards next door.
That's a nice yard.
Yeah.
the yard that's pretty much directly behind the Sandlot is not so much a nice yard, but the guy's blind. What do you want to do? I mean,
plus it's a junkyard.
Yeah. So he's just kind of standing back there. Obviously, I don't think any of them are really paying attention because they're just kind of paying attention to Benny. And Benny's just like, it's again, there's 8 of them. Mm-hmm. So he's basically.
So they don't even have a whole team.
Right. So sometimes he takes pitches. Other times he's just lined into practice, right? He gives them grounders or he gives them fly balls, and then they do that. And at some point, he hits one, and he hits it harder than he kind of thinks, right? Mm-hmm. He goes back towards the fence, and then they say, like, watch out, heads up, whatever it is, right? Yeah. And I forget even what it was that something, like, has his attention. He turns around, and he looks up, he tries to catch it, and, like, it goes to the plastic glove.
No, that's later.
Is that later?
Yeah, it's a little bit later that happens.
That's right.
Yeah, because this time
just kind of hits it.
It goes back there.
So he just hits it hard. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, no. At this point, they are pitching him. That's right. Yeah, they're pitching him at this point.
No, because at that point, Benny hits the ball a little farther than he intended to, and it rolls back to the fence. And he's like, "I got it."
Like, oh, hey, can you get that? Yeah. And all like, oh, hey. And then he tries to get it right. He tries to throw it, and like it goes like 2 feet.
Yeah, he's apparently never thrown a ball before, which is why he wants his stepdad to teach him how to play catch with him. Teach him how to throw.
And they all start laughing at him,
except Benny. Benny doesn't laugh.
And he just kind of looks disappointed, right?
And everybody laughing at him. Embarrasses him. He runs away.
My life is over.
Yeah, he's like, my life is over, and he runs away and runs back to his house, and he's moping and.
Actually, I think that's the point. Actually, where his mom comes in, because the first night before this is when he sees his dad. He sees his dad with the ball, the Babe Ruth ball. That's spoiler. That becomes important. That this keeps getting looked at.
Yes.
We didn't mention that earlier.
By Babe Ruth.
That's Chekhov's gun for right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's actually the night after, like, he gets kind of laughed at, is when his mom comes in and says, "You gotta make friends. You gotta scrape your knees. You gotta climb trees. You gotta get into trouble." And then the next morning, like, that's when he's just kind of sitting on the front steps of his house, and Benny shows up, right?
No,
and he's very friendly.
No, wait.
Oh no, that's right. No, you're right.
He plays catch with
I'm ahead of myself.
Dennis Leary first.
Because now you're actually before that. Yes, it's breakfast time.
Mm-hmm. Breakfast time,
and his mom encourages him to go to Bill.
Yeah. And asks him to teach him to play catch.
They're in the kitchen, and Bill's kind of like in the dining area, and he's doing some work stuff. Right? He's like, he asks him again. He's like, "Oh yeah, but I gotta do this right."
Yeah, he's like, "I got to get this done, but then right after I'm done, we can go out and play catch." And then that's when his mom comes in, and she's like, "Well, you promised him it'll take a half hour. Can't you just take a half hour out of what you're doing and go and teach him how to play?"
It's like, honey, I gotta get this done. It's like it can wait, can it? And she's got her nice tight 60 stuff on.
Yes, I mean, she uses the same sort of like moves that she uses with Indy to get him to do what she wants, and Dennis Leary doesn't have anywhere near the willpower that Indiana Jones has. So
have you watched Rescue Me?
Yeah. So he can't withstand that. So next thing you know, he's in the backyard with Scotty,
and he's just saying, like, where the ball goes, your glove goes.
Yeah. Keep your eye on the ball. So he's throwing it, and Scotty's missing it. And then Scotty picks it up, and then he's about to throw it, then he stops and walks up and just puts it in his glove. He's like, "There you go."
I love Dennis Leary's look on his face. Yeah. It's kind of funny. Again, he's got a small role, but he plays this part like really well. Mm-hmm. Small part. It's like he's able to get a look on his face, like he's not like did not completely expect that he was going to walk up and give him the ball, even though it's in the script.
Yeah.
Like he's shocked.
Like, yeah. I mean, this is a very underrated Dennis Leary role, I think. A very underrated Dennis Leary performance.
Like, it's funny, like, you look at him, he's trying to figure out what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. Okay, so he throws it again, and Scotty misses it again, picks it up. He's like, "Okay, this time throw it to me."
So he rolls it to him.
So he rolls it to him.
All right. And then he's like, all right. He's like, okay, remember, eye on the ball.
Yeah. Eye on the ball. He throws it, where the ball goes, your glove goes. Keep your eye on the ball. And he throws it to him, and
it's like straight at his face.
Catches it, but he catches it as it's hitting his eye.
And it's a plastic glove, so it breaks the glove, and it goes through and hits his eye.
And it hits his eye. So then they go inside. He's in the kitchen holding his eye, and Dennis Leary goes into the freezer and I guess maybe the mom is
freezer. Maybe it might not be the freezer. Maybe it's the steak's actually been taken out of the freezer to thaw.
Could be, but he pulls it from at least the fridge, because he goes and opens up the fridge and but
it's like wrapped.
Well, she's like, get him some ice, and he's like, I got something better. He unwraps a steak and just slaps it on his eye. He's like, hold that there for like an hour.
Ow. Did they eat the steak?
I don't know.
I hope they ate that steak.
I know. I hope they did, but
it's funny to talk about this.
It's a waste of perfectly good steak if they didn't.
Did you ever read the book Bunnicula?
No.
Never mind then. It's like a kid's book around that age, and there's a part where they mistake like a wooden stake that you would like kill a vampire with like a sirloin. And so this cat gets out this sirloin and tries to kill a vampire rabbit with a sirloin.
That's funny.
Anyway, we were reading that the other day, and anyway, made me think about both steaks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now he's back on the front porch.
Now he's on the front porch. He's got a black eye.
Steaks off his eye.
Yeah.
But he's got a black eye. He's got the busted glove. He's got the giant fisherman's hat.
And then Benny comes up. Yeah. Then Benny comes up and he's like, hey, you want to come play basebole with us? Because Benny's a nice kid. He's a nice kid.
And I like how he's like, and this guy's just like, oh, my glove is busted. And Benny's like, oh, I got an extra. He pulls it out of his back pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, like he's come prepared because like he realized that he had a crappy glove.
Yeah.
And like he realized like this kid's just trying to make friends and trying to get into this. Like I should make an effort.
Yeah, so Benny's going out of his way to try to help Scotty feel welcome.
Yeah, and he's like, and then so they don't exchange hats yet. So it's like, okay, all right, and he throws the old glove into the door and says, "Mom, I'm going out to play ball," right? And now they walk and they go down to the drugstore, right? Because like it's a town, like maybe it's a suburban town, right? Whatever. They do a good job kind of setting up that early '60s kind of feel.
Yeah. So Scotty's wearing his fish hat again.
And now, a bunch of all the other kids are all like gathered around and like they're basically waiting for Benny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they kind of went in there and they bought a new baseball.
Yeah, because they seem to buy a new baseball just about every day.
Yeah. Now sometimes they can't, which we get to later.
Sometimes they can't. Yeah.
They haven't collected enough bottles yet, probably.
And depending on what happens with the ball, sometimes,
Or they spend all their allowance money on baseballs for the week as it was and for that day. Anyway.
And they ran.
They have one kid, he's got like red hair and freckles. He was the guy who's playing catcher. He's,
Hamilton Ham Porter, played by Patrick Renna.
Just like, it's like Porkins, we'll call him Ham.
Well, I mean, his first name was Hamilton, so.
Anyway.
So, he's a little chunky kid, but his first name's Hamilton, so it could be, it's sort of a combination of being short for Hamilton.
An actual cigar here, or is
it's like a bubblegum cigar.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah,
it's like one of those bubblegum cigars.
And he's kind of putting up his, and he's just got in his mouth like, great Bambino. And they're all like, what?
And it's like, what?
All the
I'm the great Bambino. What?
And finally he takes it out of his mouth. He's like,
I'm the great Bambino. Like, oh.
And oh. And
then this guy's like, who's that?
He's like, they're behind them.
Yeah.
So Ham can't see them because he's facing the other kids. And they can probably kind of see him, but they're not really paying that much attention, right?
No, they just see Benny walking up with this kid. And Scotty's like, who's that?
Who? And they're like, what?
Like, what?
And they all
the great Bambino? The Sultan of SWAT?
And everyone's using the different names. And no. And it's like, and obviously at that age, like, you don't want to be discovered that you don't know something that everyone's talking about. Yeah. And he just was like, oh, yeah, I thought you meant the Great Bambi. Yeah, I thought you meant the Great Bambi.
That stupid little deer?
Yeah, I guess. And that's when, Benny introduces him to everybody else, and you get all their names, and they're all trying to act like the big leaguers.
And by the way, Benny's full name is Benjamin Franklin Rodriguez.
That's right, Benjamin Franklin Rodriguez. That's right.
But yeah, so he introduces him to Hamilton Ham Porter, Michael Squints Palladorus, Alan McLennan, Kenny DeNunez, Bertram Grover Weeks, Tommy Repeat Timmons, and Timmy Timmons. Timmy Timmons is the older brother. Tommy Timmons is the younger brother who repeats everything his older brother says, which is why they call him Repeat.
Yes. Yeah. The Colossus of Clout.
The Colossus of Clout.
Shut up, Timmy. Shut up, Tommy. It would feel like Timmy would be the younger brother's name.
Yeah.
Tommy sounds a little bit older than Timmy.
Yeah, that's
but what Thomas and Timothy, like, okay, wherever that might be in there, but like, Timmy seems like younger than Tommy. Anyhow.
Yep. I always thought that was odd that they didn't just switch their names, but.
And like, this is Scott Smalls, right? And he's going to play with us because, he makes 9. Now we got a whole team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, as the whole thing, like, it's like, we're wasting time. Let's get to the Sandlot because Benny just wants to play baseball.
Yeah.
That's all he wants to do is play baseball.
Lives and breathes baseball.
So they're walking, and Scotty's kind of trailing behind all of them. He's, he's falling, but he's kind of like scooting his feet and all like, why do you bring him? Right? He's saying like, we need 9. He's like, and he's just like, some other kid moved like, somewhat recently, I guess. And like, he still needs a full team so he can truly practice. Because like, he may not hang out with the full Little League team that we see later, but he takes it more seriously than they do.
Yeah.
And so he's taking every opportunity he can to actually play.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they finally get to the field, and Squints is like, face it, Benny. The kid's L7 Weeby. All within earshot.
Yeah.
I love how it's like, Oscar Mayer even.
Yeah, Oscar Mayer even.
Like, how's that an extra insult? I don't. They just start naming other like hot dog, like Dodger Dog. When Benny just looks at it like, well, yeah, like, but you run like a duck.
Yeah, you run like a duck.
And Yaya also always chews gum.
Yes, like, Yaya's always chewing gum
and always saying yeah.
Yeah, they call him yeah because he always says yeah. And Squints is called Squints because he wears glasses and he's always squinting when he's because he's always got to take his glasses off and wipe them off, and he's squinting when he does that. So he's
yeah. But it's like Benny looks at Yaya's like, yeah, but you're Yaya's like, but yeah. He's like, yeah, but it's like, and Benny's like, yeah, you're part of the game, right? And it's like, well, he could be part of the game too. I'm like, well, he can't catch, he can't throw, right? I love how Benny he looks at us like he's getting annoyed because like he just wants to play.
Yeah, Benny just wants to play.
Face up, blockheads.
Yeah.
Calling them Charlie Browns. I love it. He tells him to take left center.
Left center. Right? Yeah, he tells Scotty to go take left center.
Like, who's that?
So he starts walking back there, kind of just standing there, and he's like, no, that's left. That's at left center. He's like, that way?
Like, yeah. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
Well, it's kind of funny. They have 8, which means they really only have, like, Benny's batting. Like, they only have 7.
Mm-hmm.
They have 1 outfielder. Now they have 2 outfielders, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to play left and right center.
But Benny's also pitching to himself, though. He's just tossing the ball up and hitting it.
Right. And so, I mean, sometimes he gets pitched to him also.
Yeah,
but
Kenny's the pitcher.
Kenny will pitch. and he's probably the second best of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a pitcher, not really a hitter. Anyway, we'll get into that as we go on about his strengths. So he's going around, and Scotty's just kind of
the ball
impressed
to everybody, and
he's getting impressed out. Okay, they can play well, right?
Yeah. One of the things that he mentioned earlier when he was watching them play was they never seem to keep score. They just play.
That's right. Yes, great point. Yeah, they didn't keep score. They just played and played and played.
It's just time to go in. The love of the game for them. They just play.
So finally, Benny is calls out. It's like Smalls, and he hits his pop fly up there, and it's one that's kind of going over his head, and
and he kind of gets scared of it and kind of falls over.
Yeah, he just kind of shuffles his feet backwards.
Yeah, and trips.
Right, instead of kind of tracking it correctly. And he trips and he falls. And they all kind of no one really laughs. Like, I told you, Benny.
Mm-hmm.
And they realize that the ball then rolls to the fence. And then he's like,
I'll get it.
Why'd he do that, man? Right? He's like, Smalls, Scotty doesn't know what's beyond the fence. Mm-hmm. The rest of them do.
Yeah, so he goes up. You get it. When he reaches for it, he hears something on the other side of the fence. He hears something rumbling. And so it scares him. So he grabs the ball and kind of runs back to everybody.
There's a few bushes.
Yeah, and there's a hole in the fence.
He's kind of,
a small hole.
So he kind of goes under a few of the branches or the bushes, and he grabs it, right? And he runs it all the way up to the pitcher's mound.
Yeah. And puts it in Kenny's glove. He's like, here you go.
And Kenny just looks at it. Everyone's like, he looks like, what is he doing?
He's like, what is he doing?
What are you doing?
Oh.
And, Benny runs out there and he's like, you can throw it, can't you? It's like, I don't know how. And he's like, thanks for taking me here, but I should go.
Yeah.
I love Benny. He's like, you think too much.
Yeah, Benny's like, you think too much.
This is actually the first time we get some profanity from the kids.
Yeah.
I can get straight A's and shit.
Yeah, I bet you get straight A's and shit. And he's like, I got a B once. Well, actually it was an A minus, but it should have been a B.
It should have been a B. Maybe the teacher graded on the curve. He got a 92. And then he bumped it up 2 points to the A minus.
Maybe.
Whatever it was. It's like, you gotta have fun. It's baseball. You gotta stop thinking. Which is the crazy thing. It's true. Like baseball, there's so much you do need to think about, but at the same time, you can't think about.
Yeah. And he's like, you ever had a paper route?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I mean, it's just like you're throwing a paper.
Yep.
When your arm you put your arm back. When it gets to here, you let go.
Chuck it. Yep. And he says, if finally they caught that ball. And so finally he's like, well, how do I catch it? He's like, well, stick your glove out in the air.
Just put your glove up in the air. I'll take care of the rest.
I mean, yes and no, but
but
that's a good simplified way. He's trying to get him to stop thinking about it.
Yeah, and
so it makes sense.
Benny is good enough that he gets back up there. He's like, Scotty, this was coming to you.
Yeah,
and he hits the ball that goes, and he's sitting there holding his glove up in the air. And that ball goes. It's like,
please catch the ball. Please catch it. His eyes are closed. Squint. And then it lands in there.
And it lands right in his glove.
And Benny's like, yeah! Right?
And everybody's amazed that he caught it. And then he goes to throw it back, and he actually throws it. Because he does what Benny told him to do. And everybody's like,
I knew it.
All right, he can play. And Ham's like, I knew it.
Let's play some ball. I forgot the point, too. When Benny's jogging back, Squid's just like, it's about time. My clothes are going out of style. And so it's like, they already are. So, but finally Benny gets back to the batter's box. He gets back to home plate, turns around, gives Scotty a thumbs up, right? Scotty gives him a thumbs up back. We're returning to this later in the movie. Them giving each other a thumbs up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Scotty hears a growl, right? And I love this part of it because I was thinking this would be kind of funny, and he hears it and he kind of gets startled and scared a little bit, right? It's like, again, it gets back. Okay, what's behind this now, right? So, it's the thing, it's like the kid, even at that age, pumping up that imagination, exaggerating the fear, right? And so they get home. We get back in Scotty's room now. He's got a yellow legal pad. Right? He just read baseball stuff to know.
Yeah, baseball stuff to know. The great Bambino.
We never see the legal pad again.
No, we don't.
We don't know what other baseball stuff he should know.
No, we don't. But when they're getting back, before he goes in the house, when Benny walks him home, and
that's the glove. He gives him a new hat.
He goes to give him the glove, and he's like, "No, you keep it." And
that's right.
Then he's like, "Oh," and then he turns around to go inside. And he's like, "Oh, and Smalls, that hat, burn it, burn that hat." He's like, "I don't have another one." He's like, "You do now," and he pulls another hat out of his back pocket and hands it to him.
It's fuck all day, baby. I don't know.
So Benny gives him a hat.
Yeah, it's like I mean, like, again, this is summer, and you can tell like the sun's setting now. It's probably like almost 9:00. That's how long they've been playing.
Mm-hmm. But
it's probably been maybe not quite 9:00. It's earlier in the evening because they're about to eat dinner.
What's interesting is Benny gives him a hat, but Scotty never wears it.
No,
he doesn't wear it. I mean, does he wear it like the next day, and that's it?
I think he does. I think the next day.
Yeah, he wears it the next day, but the rest of the movie, he doesn't wear a hat.
He doesn't really wear a hat at all.
Yeah.
Except at the end of the movie.
Yes, except the end of the movie.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah. But
Winston's like, "Hey, Mom, I made all these friends." Right? You know. So they get back to the Sandlot, right? And now it's Ham is up, right? And, it gets back to the whole Babe Ruth thing, right? And Ham's pretending he's the Babe. And it's one of the few times where you see someone playing catcher that's not Ham. It's Benny is actually playing catcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and he decides he's going to kind of do kind of a mock calling the shot. But he goes all around the outfield, right? So wherever he hits it, he can kind of call it, right? And he's daring to Nunez or Kenny to pitch him something, right? He pitches him something, he swings through and he misses it, right? Within the next pitch, he hits it over the fence. Which I do think this part's kind of funny because I get why they're upset, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's running the bases and they're all throwing their gloves at him.
Yeah,
they're angry and
he's running. Yeah,
he's laughing at it.
He's laughing.
Yeah, that's why they're throwing it. Had Benny done it, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, Benny,
yeah,
you the man."
Man, but now everybody's mad at him because now they can't play no more.
Right, but Scotty, I'll get it.
Scotty's like, "I'll get it." And
my mom told me to pop fences.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hop this fence.
He's like, "I'll get it." And everybody's like, "No!"
Running toward him. I love Squid's face.
No!
Squid's face all the time is great in this, right?
He's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And Squid's like, "This is a matter of life and death. You cannot go in that yard.
Cannot go in that yard, man." By the way, the actor that plays Squint, his name is Chauncey.
Yep.
I mean, it's such a great name.
Yep. Chauncey the Party.
He, by the way, was also in Freaks and Geeks.
Yes, he was. I was going to mention that. But yeah, he was.
I believe we've talked about Freaks and Geeks on here a couple times before.
Yeah, I believe we have. But if we haven't, then here we go. Yeah. Great show.
Very, very good show. So, and he's halfway up the fence, and they drag him down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they start saying you can't go up there, man.
Yeah, the beast lives over there. He eats kids.
Yeah, it's like he could have been killed. It's like what? It's history. You kiss it goodbye. We'll buy another one tomorrow. We'll play again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's it's the beast, and he's still confused. Okay, you see that hole in the fence? Go look through it. Right? So he gets down there. He gets on his knees. Right? He kind of crawls over it.
He sees the ball sitting there,
and now he's kind of confused. He's a little. Now he's earlier, he was more willing to go over the fence. He's hesitant now, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he goes over, now he's in the yard. He sees the ball. All of a sudden, there's this paw and comes down.
Giant paw just comes down on top of the ball and
drags
pulls it
the ball away. He's like, "What is that?"
He's like, "There's something back there." That's the beast.
He's like, what was it? It's like, "Well, what's a beast?" And they all look at each other like, "Camp out."
Mm-hmm. So that night, they're in the treehouse that's in the next yard over that overlooks the fence.
I do like the 60s music they use, because here we go. Yes. Use that in the jungle.
Yeah. Yep.
and Scotty has to explain that he would have been there a few minutes earlier, but his mom made him put on a jacket.
Mm-hmm. His mom made him put on a jacket.
Such a good mother.
Mm-hmm. So he gets in the treehouse.
Oh, that's how you say, like, oh, that should maybe do the dishes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe do the dishes. But so Ham is making s'mores, and Scotty's sitting over there by him.
There, they're all kind of talking. He's sitting by himself, right? He's like, "Hey, do you want some s'mores?"
Yeah,
and he's like,
I haven't had any yet. How can I have some more if I haven't had any? It's like, no, not some more, s'more. Not some more, s'more.
Like, what's that?
Like, what's that?
It's like, you're killing
me, Smalls.
I always loved. I loved his little like setup there. Like most of them are like, he's just sitting by himself. He's got a candle that's lit, right? Yeah, that's what he's using to light it.
He's got a candle, and he's got a box of graham crackers. He's got a box of marshmallows and some chocolate.
Yep.
And he's like, I love how he explains how to make a s'more. It's like, first you take the graham, then you put the chocolate on the graham.
On the graham.
Then you toast the mallow. When the mallow lights on fire, it's done. You put the mallow on the chocolate. Then you take the other graham, put it on the mallow.
Then you eat.
Then you scarf. He takes a
bite out of it.
No, then you scarf.
Yeah. Takes a bite out of it. Like, it's a little messy, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he gives
it to him.
The quarter eaten s'more. Because he doesn't take small bites. No. Like, he could, probably by the time he gets to college, he can eat a s'more in 2 bites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, hey, that's pretty good, and then that's why finally gets Squints is looking around, and he's like, gets them all to quiet down. He's like, okay, we gotta tell a story now. It's like about the story of the beast.
Of the beast.
And Scotty's having so much fun, he almost kind of forgot why they're supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah. He goes, it's like a long, long time ago, like 20 years. Like 20 years ago. It's like a long time ago, like 20 years ago. Mr. Myrtle had a junkyard, and thieves kept on stealing his stuff. They kept on stealing the junk. So he got himself a junkyard dog. Yeah, he got himself a puppy, and he put this puppy out in the dog house. He would feed it a whole side of beef.
He grew mean.
He grew big.
Right?
And he grew mean. In like 2 weeks, he had grown huge.
He only had one thing on his mind. Kill everyone that broke in.
Kill everyone that broke in.
And he did, and he liked it.
And he liked it. And these thieves would break in and they'd get eaten. And then my grandpa was he was a true killing machine. And then, my grandpa was
the grandpa is like you talked about right before that. He's like, and people noticed these thieves were going missing.
Yeah, people noticed these thieves were going missing, and they complained about it.
People complaining
about the thieves disappearing.
It was like, then my grandpa,
and of course, this is all like a black and white flashback like story sequence.
Like a 30s gangster movie.
All the thieves are like in the black and white stripes. Dressed like mimes.
But looks like how a 12-year-old might imagine something that was 20 years ago.
Yes. They look like Black Bart's gang from A Christmas Story.
It's like, but like, yeah, some got away. Some people say they all got away, but we all know what happened. The beast ate them, bone and all.
Ate them, bone and all.
And then he's like, my grandpa.
Squidman. Yeah, Squidman Palladorus.
He was police chief back then.
And he went to Mr. Myrtle and he said, you have to lock that dog up and not let him out. And Mr. Myrtle asked for how long?
How long?
And he said, forever. Forever.
I like the interlocking cuts of his face. He's got the same glasses that Squints has, but he's got the nice bushy mustache.
And before he started the story, he held a flashlight up under his chin. So it's got that too. He's got the light coming up like a ghost story.
And then finally, like, Bertram's like, that's why you can't go down there, man. No one's ever gone over there. And I was like, one kid did.
One kid did.
He's still eating a s'more. He got to eat. And then he takes a bite out of the s'more. and Scotty's like, no, you guys are just trying to, again, Scotty being the rational, intelligent one. He's like, no,
that didn't happen. No. Like, yeah, it did.
You're just trying to scare me.
Like, yep, it happened.
Look down there.
We know it. We know it. Look down there.
Like, stick your head out that window.
So Scotty sticks his head out the window, and
what I like the thing that convinced him is like, that night I learned over 60 baseballs went over that fence.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Never to be seen. Like,
that's right. That's
I
what
believed it because when I looked down there,
I didn't see a single one.
Single one.
I didn't see a single solitary one.
And then they're like, yeah, he's down there. Whatever goes over that fence is his. It becomes property of the beast forever. Forever. So we cut over. It's like we don't know if it's the next day, right? No, and you got Squints and Yaya coming out of the pharmacy. He's gonna carry the ball, right?
Yeah, and then Wendy Peppercorn comes walking by,
and they stop. And then I love like Squints like, Wendy Peppercorn. What a I think he says what a babe. It's like he's looking up and like, yeah, even Yaya, like Yaya stops chewing his gum. He's looking.
And they're just staring at her, and she kind of smiles at him as she walks by.
She's like in a red dress, and like what's that song? There goes my baby.
Yeah,
song, right?
Yep. But we find out that Squints has always had a huge crush on Wendy Peppercorn. And
so they get down to the Sandlot, and the rest of them are waiting on them for the ball, right? They're explaining why they were late. Yeah, I was like, Squints is drilling all over Wendy Peppercorn.
Yeah, just drilling over Wendy Peppercorn.
Like, Wendy, my lover.
My lover girl.
Oh. No, that was the first line. That was the actual line. He was like, yeah, Squints was perving a dish.
Yes, Squints was perving a dish. That's right.
What a line for a 12-year-old, by the way.
Squints was perving a dish. And everybody's like, there's this like lean-to that everybody's under, and they've all got like bottles of Coke, bottles of pop, and they're.
It's the summer. Schools end it. It's not before the 4th of July, because there's a 4th of July.
It is before the 4th of July, but
it's June. It's possible that you're having a day. It's like 100
it's a
degrees.
Hot day, and everybody's all like trying to be in the shade of the lean-to, and Ham is like, Benny,
we can't do
the pop's not working. We can't play. It's too hot. And Benny's like, but come on, we gotta play. We gotta play, guys.
And they're like, all right, we're gonna vote. We'll vote for it. And I love Benny's like, anybody that wants to be a can't hack it panty waist who wears his mama's bra, raise their hand.
And everybody raises their hand.
Which is like, you look at it now, it's like, wait, why did they raise their hands?
Yeah. He's like, all right, so then what are we gonna do? And everybody kind of just looks at each other, starts laughing.
The pool honeys!
Scout pool honeys!
Again, they're 12.
So the voiceover comes up again, and he's like, we played baseball most days, but days we didn't. Our second favorite thing to do was go to the pool. Not because it was, we love swimming, but because the lifeguard was Wendy Peppercorn.
But this is such a great point, though. Like, when you're that age, and there's the older one, and your hormones are starting to go a bit, right? And kicking in, like, oh yeah.
Yep. I love it.
That older high school girl.
Wow. Oh yeah.
She's nothing like those middle school girls. Right? That's what
that's what they thought. Well, right? That's what was going through that. I love it. Ham.
She's mature.
Yeah. I love it. Ham gets out of the pool and he's walking over past all the girls laying out, sunning. He's like, "Oh, I remember you. I got your number. I'll call you later." He's like, well, he's flirting with all these girls, and they're all kind of just rolling their eyes at him as he's walking by.
Like, I love how you have like Scotty's voice. I was like, none of us had ever seen the Playboy.
Yeah. Even though none of us had ever seen a Playboy, but we all lied about it. The next best thing was going to the pool.
Damn, it's like Amy Ford is like, it's like, oh, sexy. And he finally gives a little kiss. Yeah. And he thinks about it. He's like,
No. He says, ham and ball. He's like, ham and ball. And, splashes all the girls that he was just flirting with.
He's still a bit of a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all playing. They're all kind of, they're all like, where it's like 4 feet, right? Water, right?
Yeah.
They're, because they're just trying to have fun, not worrying all about that. And then they all look over at Wendy's lifeguard stand, and
she's putting suntan lotion on her legs and her arms, and they're like, she knows exactly what she's doing.
Well, no. First, though, Timmy's like, she don't know what she's doing, and then he's like, yeah, she does.
Yeah. And then Squint's like, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it.
I've swum here every summer of my adult life.
I've swum here every summer of my adult life.
What is his adult life? I don't know.
So he gets out of the pool. He walks over to the deep end. Over the diving board.
He can't swim.
Yep.
Well, supposedly.
He climbs up onto the diving board, and they're like, what's Squint's doing? He can't swim. He looks right at Wendy Peppercorn, gives her a smile, and then just jumps in.
She waves, and
he
and
he's got his glasses in one hand. He jumps in.
He takes them off, and all his friends are freaking out. Obviously, if he can't swim, and he jumps in.
Yeah, so they're trying to run over there. They're trying to get over there as fast as they can, but it's really hard to run in a pool.
Yes. And Wendy notices the commotion.
Mm-hmm. And notices that he hasn't come up yet. And so she dives in, grabs him, pulls him out of the water, lays him down, starts giving him CPR. and all the other boys are sitting there, they're watching, they're freaking out. They're like, oh, come on, Squints, And,
he looks like a dead fish.
He looks like a dead fish. Yeah, she's giving a CPR. She gives she pulls her head away a few times, and then finally,
But okay, well, even before, at some point, she's putting her head down to there should have been some signs.
Yeah, there should have been some signs there.
And again, I don't know how they taught CPR in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't doing any chest compressions. She was just doing breaths.
No, I mean, all she was doing breaths, and even having gone through CPR certification again recently, and having done it in high school also, chest compression has always been the more pivotal part of it, as opposed to the breaths. But even now that it's you don't feel comfortable doing the breaths, just the chest compressions are what matters.
Yeah. So anyway, she does it a few times, and then at one point when she pulls her head away to go and listen for his heartbeat and all that, then he sort of opens his eyes, looks at his friends, gives them a grin. And then once he sees her head start to turn his way, then he just gets real still again and shuts his eyes.
The friends are looking huh?
Huh?
And you don't really notice anyone else. It's everyone around the pool
everyone's around
it.
But nobody else seemed to notice that. But he was real obvious about it.
His eyes got big.
And he got a big old stupid grin on his face. So she goes down for some more breaths, and she puts her lips on his, and he wraps his arms around her head and starts making out with her.
So apparently when they were giving him instructions on this scene, the actor, right? Mm-hmm. Chauncey Leopardi.
Yeah.
They told him no tongue. Anyhow, she just screams "You little pervert!" She grabs him by the arm and she's dragging him out. And I love how who was it? I think it was Timmy's "Oh man, he's a deep shit."
Yeah, he's a deep shit. They get drug out of there. Or he gets drug out of there.
He gets dragged, but they follow him.
They follow him, and then the voiceover
they
comes.
They throw
like,
all their towels out and their change of clothes, and we got banned from the pool forever that day.
Yeah, we got banned from the pool forever that day. But
which really should just be Squints.
Yeah,
that got banned.
Yeah, but from that day on, every time Squints walked by that pool, he'd look up at Wendy Peppercorn, and she'd look back at him, give him a little smile. Yeah,
well, she continued to give him little smiles, which we discovered at the end of the movie. And then they finally asked him, was like, did he plan that? He's like, of course, I've been planning it for years.
Yeah, Ham's like, did you play? Yeah, Ham asks him that. And he's like, then Ham goes running back over. He's like, guys, he planned that.
Right, so they gave him the glasses, right? So I love how he said it. I love how adult Scotty puts it, right? He's like, he was lucky she didn't beat the crap out of him. We wouldn't have blamed her, right?
Yeah.
Sneaky, rotten, and cool. He put the moves on the lifeguard. None of us would have had the guts to do that in a million years. But he did. He kissed a woman.
He kissed a woman.
He kissed her long and good.
So then we got, it's the evening of the 4th of July.
Yeah. And that's the one night game.
Yes, the one night game that they do. So yeah, Benny shows up at Scotty's house. He's like, hey, come on, night game. And they go running out through there's a block party going on.
Yeah, and where Scotty lives, he lives like the end of the block. It's like a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a block party. Like everyone has like picnic tables and chairs, and they have grills. They're all out. They got sparklers going on.
Yeah, it's a 4th of July block party. So there's hot dogs, hamburgers, all this stuff, and Ham's going through, taking a little bit off of every table, filling up his plate and eating and running.
And like this is a good part where like it shows a difference between Benny and the rest, right? Like they like playing these night games because like, okay, they can pretend that they were playing under the lights because like they got this is their chance to pretend like they're actually like
it's the one night that they do the night game because the sky is lit up with fireworks so they can see.
For Benny, it was never about trying to pretend like because he just he knows he's gonna be one. He wants to be one. That's it. Yeah. It's not like this pretend
baseball
aspect.
Is his life. So
right, so like there's a scene like he hits a ball, goes all the way out towards like the fence, and no one wants to chase it down because
they're all staring up
in the sky. There's fireworks. It's cool, right? Like why would we do that? And like meanwhile, they're playing over all this is Ray Charles's version.
Yes,
America the Beautiful.
I love that. I love that version.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the music in this movie is like. I know we've mentioned it a couple different times, but it's always chosen really well.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so he hits the ball and it kind of rolls back towards the fence, and then the ball rolls there, and then it fades into the next day. Right? Someone goes and grabs it, they throw it back to the infield, and then a bunch of kids in these jackets come on bikes.
On bikes,
which again, it's like they're wearing their jackets in the little summer.
Yeah, they're wearing jackets, but they also all have baseball uniforms on.
Yes,
they are the little league kids.
Yes,
they're the professional baseball players,
and all of
the
them,
neighborhood.
Like, right away, like they definitely respect Rodriguez.
Yeah,
like
I mean the leader of their the leader of their group is like, other than Rodriguez, you guys all suck.
So but at the same time, he kind of denigrates it a little bit. It's like, but a lot of what you do is like it's easy when you play with a bunch of rejects and a fat kid. Right. But, I don't think we've already talked about this before. Like, Benny's pretty quick with like an insult when he needs it. He's he basically just doesn't like, shut your mouth, Phillips. Right.
Yeah. Then they start, trading insults and
then finally Ham gets into it. Right. And like before that, it's like, the leader's like, we play a real diamond porter. We ain't good enough to lick the dirt off our cleats, right? And that's when it keeps going back and forth, right? like butt sniffer,
butt sniffer, puss licker.
You eat. Then finally, it's not just that. It's like, well, you eat dog crap for breakfast, right?
And then Ham's like,
you mix your Wheaties with your mom's toe jam.
With your mom's toe jam.
And then finally, the kid goes like, you bop your apples in the toilet and you like it. And then, the coup de grace.
The coup de grace, the worst insult. The worst insult a kid could ever give another kid. Ham goes, you play ball like a girl.
Hamilton from the top rope comes in, finishes him.
And the kid is just stunned. He's speechless.
And then they agree that they're going to play a game on the Little League field to settle it.
Like, tomorrow, noon, our field. And so tomorrow at noon on the Little League field, they play and they beat those kids.
They beat them.
They beat the Little Leaguers.
So they need to celebrate.
Mm-hmm. They celebrate.
Like any 12-year-olds are going to celebrate.
Yep, by going to the carnival.
The carnival. And then Bertram remembered, like, he was saving something.
Yep, they get their tickets. Yeah, so Benny buys everybody's tickets.
Benny treats them.
He treats them to their ride tickets. And so he's handing them out, and they're all running to the rides, but Bertram stops. And he's like, wait, I almost forgot. And he pulls out a pouch of Big Chief. Big Chief chewing tobacco. What the pros chew.
This guy's like, what's that?
Yeah.
So they're all looking like, what? Which, like, in the 60s, like, almost no one chews it anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Even, like, you know, they chew bubble gum, but, like, that's why it's Big League Chew.
Yeah.
But they show him what he's supposed to do with it. They all grab in there, they get a big wad
of it, shove it in their mouth, shove it in their cheek, and they're just chilling on it.
They're feeling big, but you know it's perfect. Like at 12, you're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling big. All right, yep.
Mm-hmm. Then they get on a ride.
A little like tilt-a-whirl, and
it's spinning. It's kind of going up on its side.
The whole
sort of
music
spinning
is,
and going around.
Song Tequila is playing.
Yes, Tequila.
Again,
Tequila. Makes you kind of wonder if Pee Wee Herman's going to show up.
All their own like individual seats, and all having fun at first. They're all nicely dressed too, by the way.
Yeah,
like it's probably like the best dressed we've seen all of them.
Yeah,
right.
And then the other cars, have people in them.
Behind one,
have other people, like, whether it's families or friends or whatever.
Girl, it look like they're on a date together. It looks like they're like maybe like junior, senior in high school or something like that. Yeah. It keeps going, and again, it's spinning around. It's going up and down. It's rocking around,
and all these kids have a mouthful of chew.
All of a sudden, like you start seeing them get nauseous. They're spinning around. Their equilibrium's off, and they're chewing, and they're probably swallowing whatever it is. They're not spitting it out. So
then every one of them starts puking.
Starts vomiting.
They puke all over themselves. They puke all over everybody on the ride because it's spinning around. So everybody's running into it. So puking on the ground outside it, and like right on people's shoes when they're walking by.
Like, yeah! It's like they got vomit all over their ankles and their nice shoes, right? So
when the ride's done, they're all walking out. They got vomit all over their shirts.
And some of them are trying to like rebalance, like you do after a ride like that sometimes, and then they all got this orange vomit all down their shirts. And finally, hands the last one. He's like,
yeah, he's like lets out a bell. He's like, I feel better.
For now, anyway, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they all felt sick for a few days. For a few days after that.
And then they all swore off the tobacco act. But at this point, we see Scotty. He's at home again. And his mom's going to help take Bill to the airport.
Yeah, because he's got to go to Chicago. So we know they're not in Chicago.
We know they're not in Chicago.
We know they're not in Chicago because Bill is going on a business trip to Chicago, and he's got to take a plane,
airplane.
So they're quite a ways from Chicago.
By the way, we forgot to mention when the whole tobacco thing too. When Scotty asks about it, Ham does repeat the line, "You're killing me, Smalls."
Yes, he does. You're killing me, Smalls.
So they're about to leave, and Bill tells him that he's in charge of the house.
Yes, he's the man of the house while he's away.
For, whatever number of days it is.
I always felt so important when I don't know that my dad ever said it, but I was at a friend's house. I was spending the night at a friend's house, and his dad was going out of town, and he's like, "You guys are the men of the house."
Yeah,
like it always felt so important when you're a kid, and whoever is the man of the house tells you you're the man of the house now.
This is sort of thing. So like, I'm the baby, right?
Like,
you're the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And like, my brother was 5 years older. So like, at the time, probably about, again, like a little bit older than these kids would be at this point, but like in 8th grade, and my parents being gone for like the day, right? Like, it's me at the house. It's like, yeah, that's a responsibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, to Bill says, the man of the house while I'm away, and it seems like it's probably it's not a week, but it's not like 2 or 3 days. It's like 5 days.
I think he's supposed to be gone for like a week or something. I think that's what they said.
It's probably something like that.
He's going to be in Chicago for a week.
Yeah. So and so basically, it looks like probably like a 1-car family. You don't really need a whole lot more, right? Because you're going to drive to the airport, and then Karen Allen's driving the car back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's
anyway,
the day that they start feeling better.
She looks at Scotty. That's the day. Good point. This day, like, we all took a few days off. The day we start feeling better, and like, but even like, she looks at Scotty. He's like, "You feeling okay, honey?"
Yeah. You just look a little flushed.
The mom instinct is, pushing in, right?
And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine." But yeah, so then we got, the voiceover comes in and is like, the day that we started feeling better was the day I got us into the biggest pickle of our lives.
Of all time.
Of all time. And it all started with an omen.
Yep.
So they're on the Sandlot. Kenny pitches the ball to Benny.
And it's like it's a slow-mo thing.
It's a slow-mo thing, so you know something big's going to happen. Benny hits the ball, knocks the stuffing out of the ball.
Yeah.
Like breaks the seams. The stitching,
the leather on it
goes away,
and Scotty just kind of catches it and just the guts of the ball. Everyone's amazed, and they're like, "Oh, like there's only a few have ever done that."
Wow, I've never seen that. Never
this
seen
has got to be lucky, right? And all Benny's thinking is about, like, we can't play anymore.
Yeah, Benny's all upset. He's like, "Come on, guys, we can't play no more. We don't got any money. We can't go buy another ball. We don't have 98 cents." Everybody else is just amazed.
And then finally, Scotty's like, "Ball?"
Yeah, Scotty's like, "I got a ball." And everyone's like, "Go get it!"
It's like, no, first like, we can play. It's like, you got 98 cents? Like, no, but I got a ball.
Yeah, that's right. You got 98 cents so we can buy one? No, but I got a ball.
And they'll go get it.
Yeah.
He goes in, and like at this point, like no one's home, right? His mom's still
taking Bill to the airport.
So, but he's still like, it's the same type of thing. Even like there's no one in the house, and they're going in a place that you're not supposed to be going into, and doing something you're not supposed to be doing at that age.
Kind of sneaking in. He's just sneaking in there, cracks open the door, looks in to make sure nobody's in there. He goes into Bill's office, grabs that Babe Ruth ball. Because he doesn't know who Babe Ruth is.
Nope.
So he just grabs the ball. He just sees a baseball. So he grabs the ball, runs back out there. He's like, I got it.
Because it's his ball, he gets to be the first
Your
batter.
ball, you're ups. So, they're kind of tossing around, but nobody's looking at the ball. Because if even one of them would have looked at the ball, they would have seen the signature. But none of them are looking at it. They're just tossing it back and forth.
Look at it. They're just going to toss it.
Yeah, they're just going to toss it back and forth. And so, Benny's like, okay, Scotty, your ball, you're ups. So Scotty goes up to the plate, and he hits that ball over the fence.
Yes. And at first he's excited because he knows he hit it hard.
Yeah.
And then it goes over, and they're all excited. Like,
yeah, they're excited because they weren't expecting.
It goes over, like they get upset, but like it's the second ball anyway. Yeah. And like it's his first home run.
Yeah, it's his first home run. They're excited about it, and he starts freaking out.
Yeah, he starts walking towards the outfield. He gets to second base, and instead of going to third.
Ham comes around. He's like, he's like, Smalls, you forgot to turn.
I know, like maybe the shock of hitting his first home was too much for him.
Yeah.
And then he just gets to the fence. And he's just staring at that fence.
He's like,
turns around like, we've got to get that ball back.
We got to get that ball back. And they're like, no, it's okay. We'll just buy another ball tomorrow. It's like, no, you don't understand. That was my stepdad's ball.
Like, what do you mean that was your stepdad's ball?
He's like, somebody gave it to him. Some woman gave it to him.
She even signed it.
She wrote her name on it. Somebody named Ruth. Babe Ruth.
They're like, Babe Ruth.
The great Bambino.
And now all of them, like, they're willing to jump that.
And then she's like,
now.
That's who that is?
It's the same person.
It's the same guy.
And then finally, like, they go to the fence and they're looking at it and they see the ball, right?
And clear as day, right there. There's the signature facing them.
And then the ball comes in.
The beast paw grabs it.
And I love it, like he's like, "You're dead as a doornail, Smalls. You're dead as a doornail." Yeah. Like, yeah. So, like, you mean that ball is signed by Babe Ruth and he actually swiped it? And then it's like, yeah. You keep telling me that, but who is she?
Yeah, who is she? The great Bambino, the Colossus of Clout. And
then finally, it's like, the great Bambino. That's the same guy.
The Sultan of SWAT.
And like Ben's just like finally just like small. Like, Babe Ruth's the greatest baseball player that ever lived. Like, that ball you just hit over there is worth more than your whole life. It's like, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm gonna be sick. He falls. And
everyone's like, give him hair. So they're like fanning their hats at him.
So finally, like, okay, it's like, well, when's the old man get back? Right? It's like, oh, he's gone business. Like, okay, and Ben's like, all right, well, we gotta buy a new ball for the meantime, right? It's like, everyone, like,
go collect bottles. And
we gotta buy a new ball.
We gotta do everything to get 98 cents to buy a new ball.
And then Benny, he signs that as a temporary thing, right? Right? He gives the Smalls. He goes back in.
I always love it when Benny's signing it when he's trying to forge Babe Ruth's signature. He's right, and Scotty's looking at it. He's like, Baby Ruthie?
So he gets it. He goes back home. Gets back into Bill's office. And again, he's looking. His mom is home with it. His mom should be pretty close to like home at this point, right? He gets up there, and his mom walks by.
Yep.
She sees the open door and looks in. It's like, Scotty, Bill doesn't like you being in here by yourself. It's like, I was just looking at Dad ball. Bill's ball. It's like, his dad gave that to him, signed by Babe Ruth. Maybe someday he'll give it to you.
Yeah, his dad gave that to him. It was signed by Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is the greatest baseball player who ever lived.
Even my mom,
who's a girl. Even my mom, a grown-up girl, knew who Babe Ruth was.
It was like rubbing salt in an open wound. And then again, like this is kind of like the last scene we've seen for Karen Allen for like the next 45 minutes. Yeah. Again, we get into the whole thing, like the adults. Hey, one of those balls could be an important archaeological discovery. Yeah. For her husband. Yeah. Anyway, so
actually that's really there's not really anywhere except for like the final scene in the movie. There's really no more baseball being played for the rest of the movie.
No. And well, I mean, overall, I think it's the interesting thing about this movie is like there's a lot less baseball being played than you actually kind of think it might be. Yeah. I mean, the rest of the movie is just trying to get the ball back. It's not about that. It's about friendship. Yeah. And summers. And again, like I think like the fleeting nature of all of that. Yeah. And like these fortunate bonds of getting into trouble. Smooching the lifeguard. Hitting baseballs, swiping a dad's Babe Ruth signed baseball. Right? So destroying movie theaters with a dog.
Yes, which comes later. But yeah, so then they the next thing they're at the treehouse and they're trying all these different methods to get the ball back.
Well, first just knock on the door and ask Mr. Myrtle if we can get the ball.
Ask Mr. Myrtle if we can get the ball.
No, he's the one that fed that kid to the beast.
Yeah, we can't ask him. He's the one that fed the kid to the beast. They're like, okay, fine, we won't do that. So yeah, they start out primitive. They get a big stick Like they get a broom handle.
Asked him, it would have been a shorter movie.
Yeah. But yeah, they get a broom handle. They stick it through the hole in the fence, and they try to move the ball back. But the beast grabs the end of the broom handle, the broomstick, and tears it up. And they pull it back, and there's just this like slobbery stick. So then they start to get a little bit more sophisticated with it, and they're in the treehouse, and they have 3 vacuum cleaners that are all linked together, and they have it hooked to a catcher's mask.
Yep.
And they're lowering it down.
Turn on the suction, and they're going to suction off the ball.
And pull it up.
Caught in the mask. And the idea is to pull that up, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, meanwhile, this whole time, Squints is the lookout. He's got, actually, it's pretty ingenious. He's got a periscope that they made out of a couple of mirrors and a couple of Wheaties boxes.
By the way, like it takes a while to kind of figure this out. You got to watch it enough times. But Timmy and Tommy they have a good mind for building things. Like,
yes.
They might have actually built this treehouse themselves.
They might have.
From the dad.
They might have. I mean, is this Timmy and Tommy's yard that they're in?
It is.
Okay.
And we'll get into that in a little bit when we get a little bit more. Yeah.
Because Timmy and Tommy have a mind on building stuff, but also Scotty is very mechanical.
He's very mechanical.
Like he's very good at building stuff. I mean, he's got that erector set that he's constantly playing with.
Which we'll get into because that's going to get into one of the other plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they finally get in there. And
get the ball.
There's a section of the ball. It gets into the mask, right? And it's stuck there. And
before the vacuums though, they did another. They put a bowl on the end of a stick and put it out there.
That's right.
To cup it.
That's right. They took another one,
but again,
and they tried to get it out.
Then the vacuums came.
Yes.
But
but then the beast comes, right, and he bites down on one of the vacuum
on the tube.
Vacuums, right on the tube. And so now you got all this air rushing through, and it's trapped. It can't.
Yep, because it's pinched
out. It's pinched, right? It's supposed to go out where the mask is, but now it's just trapped there.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you know what's going to happen with that, right?
Yep. So it's all the vacuums start to shake, and instead of just turning them off, they could have just turned the vacuums off.
Yes, they could.
But they're kids.
They're kids.
They're kids.
And they're already afraid of the dog, and they're trying to. They're working through a lot of things. So they're
already afraid of the beast, and so they they're all running out, jumping out of there.
I'm gonna get out of here. So some of them are just climbing down a ladder. Some are jumping over.
Yeah, just jumping over the railing.
And then like the Ham's gonna like climb down, and he just goes he falls backwards.
But they all get out except Timmy. There's an explosion. All the vacuums blow up, and there's just a big explosion up in the treehouse. And then
finally, he walks down.
You see him walking down the stairs. He's just
covered
like
in dust.
Every step he takes,
dirt.
There's like dust and dirt falling off him, and he walks out there, just completely covered head to toe in the contents of the vacuum cleaner. And
it's like, we've been going about this all wrong.
I blame myself.
We need total surprise. An airborne attack.
Yeah, we need airborne attack.
The beast will never expect it. And then he's like, Then he shakes his head a little bit, and
all this dust flies off.
The stuff just falls off. And they all just kind of nod, right?
So their idea for an aerial attack is to strap to a rope on a pulley and lower him down.
I still don't know exactly how they kind of thought about, let's rig this up.
Yeah. So he
gets down there.
He gets the ball.
And he sees the ball, and there's slobber all over it, right?
Yeah, so he
looks at it, he's like...
So he picks it up, and then the beast shows up.
And then they have a little, like, kind of like bicycle rig to pulley, on a pulley to lower him down.
Yeah, and Ham is working the bicycle rig.
And finally he looks at it, and finally, he has it, and they're ready to kind of like pull him back up, right? And then he turns back around and he sees the beast just staring at him. And he's like, he gets too frightened that he drops the ball, and
as they pull him up, he drops the ball.
Yeah. So,
but they get him out of there before he gets eaten.
Yeah, he gets eaten. So there's that.
And the bicycle rig breaks too. So
yes,
he kind of drops back down, and then everybody just grabs the rope and pulls.
They pull him back.
And when they pull him back up, that's when he drops the ball.
So they say, okay, they have one last effort or chance that they could have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Scotty decides to get every bit
of erector set that he has. And he makes
they build a whole thing where they build a ramp to go down it. And there's a little vehicle.
A little catapult.
That's got a little catapult attached to it, right?
And there's electronics involved, too. He's got switches. Yeah,
it'll open, right? Mm-hmm. And then it closes around, so it can close around the ball. And the idea is that there's electronics that will then launch this, right?
Mm-hmm. It'll catapult the ball over the fence.
This is where you finally realize, like, okay, this tree house is actually in a separate yard, right? Because you see green grass.
Yeah.
You see lawn chairs, right? And so Timmy and Tommy are neighbors to Mr. Myrtle, because most of his yard is back.
A junkyard, basically.
To the Sandlot. But, like, Timmy and Tommy's is just off. Like, from home plate, it's actually just off into, like, far, like, left field. It's like, if you had, like, an actual foul line, like, part of their backyard would actually be left field. Like, they could technically hit a home run into their left field and into their backyard, but it's not much of it. Anyway, I really had to stare at that and try to figure it all out this last time I was watching it. So yeah, most of them, you have Scotty. He's kind of the one that's doing the controls from the treehouse.
Yeah.
So because he has an aerial view to be able to see that get the ball and then launch it, right? And everyone else is waiting for the ball with the gloves and everything. So then
they get it.
Well, also I guess Squints is also kind of looking.
Yeah.
Close catapult, right?
Close catapult. Got it. Fire.
So, he fires.
They launch the catapult. The ball goes flying up. It looks like it's going to go over the fence. Everybody's waiting with their gloves.
Beast comes in.
And then you just see what they see. You see the beast how they see it.
That's
this
right.
Giant, like Clifford-sized dog.
Yeah.
That's right. Jumps up and just grabs this ball out of the air in its mouth.
And they're just all devastated.
Yeah. And then it goes and it destroys the ramp that Scotty built.
And like
so they can't try to reuse it, and the catapult shoots up in the air, and all of Scotty Smalls' erector set is gone. The beast ate it.
So not only is he just upset about having destroyed his stepfather's baseball, but also his erector set.
I love that erector set. So they all go home, and Scotty doesn't sleep very well. He has a dream.
He has a bad dream about baseball driving him into the ground like a railroad spike.
Yep, about a baseball driving him into the ground like a railroad spike. But he's not the only one that had a dream that night. Benny also had a dream, but his was much more helpful. So I love the part, right? It's funny. They cut into Benny's room, and like it kind of shakes, like there's like a little like small earthquake tremor, right? He's got his little bobbleheads, and they're just shaking. Yeah, they're shaking, and then the door opens, and it's
his closet door opens.
This smoky light out there,
and this black and white figure from probably a really like the old static pattern that would go on after TV shut off emerges. And it's Art LaFleur.
Art LaFleur as Babe Ruth. And he walks in and he starts talking to Benny.
I hear you're a pickle.
He's like, I hear you're in a pickle. And Benny's like, yep.
There's a baseball with my John Hancock. Right? And he cuts the shit like, why don't you jump over there and get it? Because there's a beast dog that lives over there. It's already eaten one kid. Maybe it's like, you sure about that?
He's like, you sure about that?
Is that a fact? It's like,
and this is when he's talking about legends. He's like, there are certain people on this earth that end up being legends. And here's what you need to remember. We all get to do one thing. Yeah, one thing in life. And here's where that quote comes. He's like, remember, kid, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Legends never die.
And then before he turns around to walk back into the closet, he sees a baseball card on the shelf and he picks it up. He's like, Henry Aaron. I don't know why, but can I have this?
Which, would be 12 years later, Henry Aaron would beat him. And his home run record, right? You'd break it.
Yep.
And, he does bring up, like, remember when you busted the guts out of that ball?
Oh yeah, remember when you busted the guts out of that ball?
Someone's trying to tell you something.
Yeah,
that's what he tells you. It's like you should listen. And it's, and Benny's like, well, what? And he's like, well, you're the one with the rubber legs. You should figure it out, right? And then he sees it. He's like, Henry, and it's like, I don't know why, but I want this, right? It's like, and then Benny's like, yeah, you can have it.
Like, you can have it. I mean, Babe Ruth asked you for a baseball card, you give it to him.
yeah. Like, I mean, totally.
Even if it's Dream Babe Ruth and it's just a dream card.
And it's Art LaFleur, but still. I had Dream as Art LaFleur as Babe Ruth, and Babe Ruth asked me for something. Yeah. Okay. You can have it, Babe Ruth. Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruthie. Yeah, so the next day.
So then he just, he just says, he just asked Babe, is like, you say I should jump over that fence. It's like, you should think about that. Right. And then he just repeats it again as he walks in the closet. Yep. Remember, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Right. It's all in your heart, kid. Now follow your heart, kid.
Yeah, follow your heart.
It'll never go wrong.
You'll never go wrong. Yeah.
And then he said, then we kept the next morning, and Benny's like knocking on Scotty's window. He's like, I had a dream. Get to the Sandlot, right?
Yeah. So they all get to
Scotty
the Sandlot.
Gets dressed, and
Scotty and Benny meet everybody else at the Sandlot, and he's got a shoebox with him.
Right. And like the way Scotty puts it, like, we were all worried because even when he pulled out this secret weapon, PF Flyers.
Yep. He's got a brand new pair of PF Flyers. The shoes that are guaranteed to make a kid run faster and jump higher. So what would have been to live in the early 60s. Yeah. So he takes off his old raggedy, which were also PF Flyers, by the way. Takes off his old PF Flyers, puts on the new PF Flyers. And everyone's like, Benny, you don't have to do this. It's suicide. He's like, yeah, I do. I got to do this. And he climbs up on an old car that's sitting there next to the fence. An old rusty car, climbs up over.
And he hops over the fence. And then he sees the Beast.
Beast
kind of walks him a little bit. Beast drops the ball.
Drops the ball out of his mouth.
It rolls a little bit.
Rolls about halfway between the two of them.
They're staring at each other, and Benny is, he's feeding his fingers to get his mind set.
You can sort of see his fingers start twitching a little bit. Like he's like he's kind of adjusting his feet, because he's about to just sprint toward the ball. And
then, he takes a step, and then he has to take it back because he sees the Beast kind of going for it, right? And finally he makes the move, right?
He just runs up, grabs the ball right before the Beast can get it, and he turns around and runs back.
And he jumps over the fence.
Everybody's cheering.
And all excited, like, yeah! And then he looks back, and then he's like, oh, shit!
Yeah.
And then Wipeout starts playing.
Yes. So did he toss the ball to one of the other kids before? Like when he got back over, didn't he toss the ball to Ham or somebody? Or was he still holding it when the Beast came out?
I thought he was still holding it.
Yeah, maybe it was. Maybe it was later that he tossed it. Yeah.
Throughout the chase.
Yeah, that's right. So then the Beast comes jumping over the fence.
So it's chasing him.
Starts chasing him. So he's running.
Everybody else kind of chasing them to whatever degree they can.
So the Beast is chasing
going through
Benny through the entire town.
And finally, they get through an alley, and then finally
there's a Founders Day
of a movie theater, and they go to the movie theater's playing The Wolfman, right? And then the Beast jumps through the screen during like an important part of the movie, and they'll start running. They go into the Founders Day, right?
Yeah, the Founders Day picnic.
And this guys on stilts
and these two chefs carrying out a giant cake. And it's they're wobbling around trying to keep it from falling to the ground, and all the kids, like Benny and the Beast, are running by, and then all the kids are running by, and these two guys are just trying their hardest not to let this thing fall.
Gets a nice fingers worth of icing.
Eats it. And so then they get it down onto the table. They don't drop the cake.
But then the Uncle Sam that's on stilts, he's lost his balance.
And so the two chefs sit down. They're all like relieved. They're like, "Oh, that was close. That was close." And then Uncle Sam on stilts, he was knocked off balance, and he falls, hits the end of the picnic table that the cake is on, and it catapults the cake up into the air, and it lands on the two chefs, two bakers. And so they're covered in cake. And then they're running.
Now they run back to like the pool.
Yeah, they run in the pool.
Right. And there's this little kid. It's like, oh, mommy, a doggy.
Yeah, this little girl, her mom's like getting sunscreen on her. And she's like, mommy, look, a doggy. Ooh, a big doggy.
The rest of the group, they're running back by the pool honeys again.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy was not on shift that day, it seemed like.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have been allowed in the pool.
So they get out, and then they get out of the pool, and like Benny kind of sees them as like he's like back to the Sandlot,
mm-hmm. Back to the Sandlot,
right? And Squint's like shortcut Sandlot, right? And they get there before they do, and they're looking around, and they're waiting 20 or 30 seconds, and then they see
there he is
back in,
and Benny's running, and he jumps back over that fence.
Well, even before that, part of his jersey gets bitten off by the beast, and then he jumps over that fence, and then the beast jumping over it or climbing over it tries to go through it.
Yep,
which is a little unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
So he gets through.
So the beast goes through,
Benny's
but it
now just
knocks the
kind
fence
of scared
down,
and then all of a sudden he realizes, the fence is going to go down, and he kind of huddles over and it falls on the beast.
Yeah, it falls on the beast, and so the beast, just this big dog, is pinned under the fence. And for the first time, the dog doesn't look that big. I mean, sure, it's a big dog.
Right.
It's a large breed, but it's not nearly as big as the kids were seeing it. It was pinned under this fence, and so Scotty,
we gotta help
sees
him.
it,
We gotta
and
get
he
this
runs
off.
over. He's trying to lift the fence up to get it off the dog, because all he sees is this hurt dog.
Yeah,
he doesn't see a beast anymore. He sees an injured dog, and he's trying to help it. So he's trying to lift this fence up, but he's not strong enough because it's a big, heavy fence, and he's just a scrawny little kid.
Yeah, and he's asking for help, and finally Benny,
Benny gets up. He tosses the ball to Ham, I think it was.
Yes.
And he gets on the other side, and they lift up the fence, and the beast gets out front of the fence. Runs up.
Look around. Finally, we see the beast on profile now against Scotty.
Yeah, against Scotty. And then
it just
licks him around the face. Just starts licking his face.
And then the beast returns all the other baseballs.
Yes.
He digs them all up.
The beast goes, takes them over to where he buried them all, and shows them there's just this hole in the ground that's just filled with baseballs.
And I love how one is like, "Oh, we can play forever now.
Yeah, we can play forever now." And
so they got the balls, they got the dog. Now they realize they kind of got to tell the owner, like, "Yeah, we got your dog back.
We got your dog." So they go around, they go up to the back door, they knock on it, and James Earl Jones comes walking out.
James Earl
Jones walks out. Mr. Myrtle. He's got sunglasses on, and he's like, "Who's there?"
Blind.
Yes, because he's blind.
It's like,
"Who's there?" He's like, "We brought your dog back." He's like,
"It's like, oh, you made all that ruckus.
You made all that racket out there." He's like, "Yeah, sorry, we hit our ball over the fence, and we were trying to get it back." And he's like, "Well, why didn't you just come knock on the door? I would have gotten it for you."
They all get mad.
They all get mad at Squints.
And then James Earl Jones had a laugh.
James Earl Jones starts laughing.
I love a James Earl Jones laugh. Anytime he can go full baritone.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta love it.
Anyway. So, he invites him in, and so Scotty and Benny go inside with him, and, they've got the ball, and they walk in, and this room is full of baseball memorabilia.
Yeah. And he asked him first, he's like, "I take it you're in trouble, son."
Mm-hmm. Taking your trouble, son. He's like, yeah, that ball was signed by Babe Ruth. He's like, oh, then you're not just in trouble. You're dead meat. You're dead where you stand. That's right. Yeah, you're dead where you stand.
He looks down and explains it, and then finally, okay.
He's like, "Oh, so George signed this? Yeah, George Herman Ruth, yeah." And
he looks around.
You know him? He's like, "Yeah, I know him. He had almost the best home run record."
Well, he gives him the other ball first because he goes in the case, and that ball really was said by Babe Ruth. So was that one, and the rest of the 1927 Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And they look around, and Betty's like,
but the ball, that ball comes after he tells him about knowing Babe Ruth, right? Because he's like,
right.
yeah, I knew him. Yeah, he was. I would have broke it. I was about to break his record too, till I got hit by a fastball and knocked my lights out.
And went blind. By the way, I mean, he would not have been a contemporary Major League Baseball player with Babe Ruth, because in case you haven't recognized, but James Earl Jones is not white.
True. True.
And so, you know, that would have been before they integrated the leagues. Yeah. But that's okay.
But yeah,
if someone wants to dock that as a baseball purist, that's fine. You can do that.
Well, that's okay.
I think for the purpose of this movie, it works well. It adds to the story. So
yeah. So then he's like, go over to the cabinet there. There's a ball. And so he's I'll trade you. And he's like, but this one really is signed by Babe Ruth. He's like, so is that one. Him and the rest of the 1927 Yankees.
And it's funny, you know, like, oh. And they look at it and they see, Benny sees like Lou Gehrig, and Scotty sees Babe Ruth. Right?
Mm-hmm. You know? Because Babe Ruth's the only name that he knows on there.
That's right. Well, the funny thing about that team, like, it's one of the greatest teams of all time. Even though, like, it's really Gehrig and Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
That at least carry the offense. Like, you'd really have to know Earl Combs and Joe Dugan to really opine a lot about that team. So anyway, that's a set up for everything.
Yeah.
Now, and first, like, we can't take this ball. Yeah. That's what he says, right?
You can't take this ball.
Well, Benny says that. And James Earl Jones is like, no. Like, tell you what, come by here once a week, talk baseball, we're going to call it even.
And they're like, okay. Come here once a week, talk baseball with me. We'll call it an even trade.
And James Earl Jones is a little laugh after they agreed to it, right? Because he's James Earl Jones. Yeah. He's just one of the coolest dudes to ever live.
Yeah. So,
like, you know what? You can do this. It's not going to faze me.
So they get back, they leave, and then it cuts to Scotty giving
the sign ball.
Yeah, giving the sign ball to Bill, along with the Babe Ruth ball that's been slobbered and chewed by the beast.
Scotty was grateful.
And also we forgot when they brought the dog back, James Earl Jones, Mr. Myrtle, mentioned that the dog's name is Hercules.
That's the best anyone's gotten of Hercules.
Yeah. That's the best anyone's ever gotten of Hercules. First time anyone's ever been able to get the best of him. But yeah, so it's got Scotty giving the balls back to Bill, and then he's like, I was grateful that he only grounded me for a week instead of the rest of my life.
Right. And then, the rest of this now, at least this part of the story, like, it's kind of a voiceover. It's like, we lived here about another 5 years. And he said, like, but everybody stayed in touch. Whenever anyone moved, we didn't replace them, but we all stayed in touch. Mm-hmm. Except for Bertram. Yeah. He just got he's going really into the 60s.
Each person and what they went on to do. And, Squints married Wendy Peppercorn.
They had 11 children.
And
they bought the pharmacy.
Yeah, and they bought the pharmacy. Let's see.
Yaya became one of the pioneers of bungee jumping.
Yes, became one of the pioneers of bungee jumping. And we all know where he got that. Ham became a professional wrestler named the Great Hambino.
The Great Hambino.
Kenny, what did Kenny do?
Kenny got the AAA baseball.
That's right. Kenny got into AAA baseball.
He coaches his kids' team.
Timmy and Tommy got into architecture.
They made a bunch of mini malls.
Yes, once they invented the mini mall, they made a ton of money. And then Bertram got really into the 60s, and then no one ever heard from him again.
So they keep in touch with everybody.
Yeah. But he
seems like one of those people that got into the 60s without really caring about the ideology.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to chew tobacco and smoke weed and have fun. I'm not going to think about anything else.
But the voiceover doesn't say what happened to Scotty or Benny. Instead, it cuts to the present day.
Yep.
And at a baseball game.
We hear about how Benny Rodriguez is pinch hitting at third base. Not pitching, pinch running. Which, by the way, pinch running at someone on third, that's very weird.
Yeah, and the baseball announcer at the stadium is wearing a very familiar hat with a fish on it.
Yes. And it's like, they say, but the Jets lost a step or two, but I think he still has something to show us. Right? And it's funny, like, they actually play this part well. Like, it's a lefty on the mound, and lefties have a hard time keeping men on third base because they can't see him. And he starts running home, and the announcer is calling it really well. He gets into the tag. He's like, he's safe. So he gets safe at home. The crowd cheers. They have generic stock video of fans sitting in the stands. And then, you get the scene there where, like, he gets home and then you see Benny look up and give a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. And he gives a thumbs up. And then Scotty gives a thumbs up back to Benny. And it pans around, like, toward the wall. And you see the baseball that Mr. Myrtle gave him. And then you see the Babe Ruth ball that's all slobbered and chewed.
But at this point, Arliss Howard is playing Scotty.
Yes, Arliss Howard. And so, interesting thing here. So, Benny is played by Mike Vittar, right? Yes. Older Benny is played by Pablo Vittar. They are brothers.
They are brothers.
So, the younger brother played the younger Benny. The older brother played the older Benny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, then it basically, the voiceover finishes off the narration.
And one of the things you see the original ball, it's all chewed up. You see the 1920-17 ball. Mm-hmm. And then you see the Ruth ball that Benny signed.
You see the fake Babe Ruth ball. Yeah.
He's got all of them. Mm-hmm. And there's a photo of all of them.
There's a photo of all the kids at the Sandlot. It kind of, the camera as it's panning across the balls and then it gets the picture, it kind of just sits on the picture.
Yep.
Then it fades and the credits roll.
It's the Sandlot.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny, like, it's a movie that really quickly moves from its climax to the denouement and the actual ending, because it happens, and then you just can do, if you're reading as a class or whatever, you prepare whatever project you're going to work on it. That's it. Yeah, it's such a fantastic movie.
Yeah, love this movie. I've always loved this movie, and it's been so long since I've seen it.
Kids being kids, and you can love that part of it, mm-hmm. But then you can also kind of keep within, your own interest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've actually sat down and watched this movie.
It's been so long since I watched it.
I was just flooded with all these memories of my childhood. Seeing the movie, of course, but then also just like I was saying earlier, this movie was essentially my childhood.
Yeah. I believe it.
Going around to different backyards, because I grew up in Kansas, where people tend to have a little bit bigger backyards because there's just more land.
Yes.
And so we had enough space in the backyards in the neighborhood that we could play baseball.
I just think baseball within a group of people like that, like a neighborhood you grow up in, but it lends itself. And it's why people kind of think about it as being America's pastime. That's part of it.
Yeah, my summers consisted of playing baseball and riding my bike everywhere.
There you go. And this movie plays into that nostalgia that people have of similar experiences.
Yep.
And it does it well. And, there's a lot more than just kind of some superficial meanings of things with The Sandlot.
Yep.
So, I would try to find movies anyway like that, but that's how Sandlot's kind of set up. So, I hope you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. And
I enjoyed watching it again.
And James Earl Jones is only in about 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
But it is such a memorable scene. It is an impactful scene.
It's so different than like his Vader. Or maybe some other kind of
it is one of my favorite performances of his.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely, I agree. It's probably one of my favorites. I would actually kind of think hard about. He might be like the middle school or grade school that could do really well with this right now. I would have to, but I'm glad we did this one.
Me too.
It wasn't even in my mind, and it's worked out perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you got anything else that you want to say about it?
I don't think so. I'm excited to talk about the next movie.
Me too. So, but before we get to that, if you would like to follow us on social media, we are on Facebook and Instagram and Threads. It is Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. The and is spelled out. It's not an ampersand like it is in the name of the podcast, so it's A and D. And we are also on X or Twitter. That is R&T Cinematic. And we are on Letterboxd. If you have a Letterboxd account and you want to see what we think of different movies, check out our reviews on those. Some of our movies we've done on the podcast, some are movies we will do, some we won't bother doing on the podcast, but we just wanted to put our reviews on there just anyway. So check that out. It is Cine Adventure or Cine Adventure, CINE Adventure. And then if you would like to shoot us an email, which please do, we want to hear from you. Let us know,
the feedback, insights.
Did you love The Sandlot? Is there another movie that you would rank above that as the best baseball movie of all time? That's actually a good point. There's another one. What is your favorite baseball movie? Is it Field of Dreams? Is it Rookie of the Year? Angels in the Outfield, Major League 2? Or is there some other movie, baseball movie? Bull Durham, maybe. But yeah, we just want to hear from you. We want to know what you think. Are there any movies that you would like us to cover one of these days? Let us know. But that is Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure at gmail.com. And once again, the and is spelled out, A-N-D. It's not an ampersand like it is in the name of the podcast. But then also just whatever app you're listening to us on, whatever, if you're listening through the website, give us a like, subscribe, give us a like and a follow on our social media, subscribe to the podcast, give us a good review if you enjoy what you're hearing. That's how we move up in the standings and in the rankings and in the search. So the more people can find us, and these apps will recommend us more.
Which means we can talk to you more.
Which means we can talk to you more. Because we love talking to you. We love hearing from you. And by the way, I meant to mention this last time when we were doing our little tribute to James Earl Jones, but I guess it fits here too.
It's appropriate, yes.
1 5-star review that we got on Apple Podcasts was from, it had to have been from James Earl Jones himself, talking about how much he loves the podcast. The only reason I know that it had to have been James Earl Jones is because the username was not James Earl. So, I mean, obviously that has to be James Earl Jones, right?
Obviously it has to be. Just sending that great if you do fall. Anyway, it's good. No, but
so anyway,
we need the likes, the engagement. It helps with everything.
Yeah. So if you like what you're hearing, let everybody know. But next time, so we're gonna move on to the movie that we were originally going to be doing this time before we learned of the unfortunate passing of James Earl Jones, and change gears real quick. But so our original plan for this week, which we're doing next week, is going to be Collateral.
Yes.
So we'll be cool. Talking about Collateral with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise. Fantastic movie. If you have not seen it, you got some time to watch it before you got time. Listen to us talk about it.
You're going to like it. It's a great movie.
It is a fantastic movie. I love that movie, and I cannot wait to talk about it. It's going to be a great one.
Yes, it will.
So join us next time for Collateral.